Hi, folks. Well, the conventions are over. We're getting a little better, a little clearer picture of where the candidates stand and what they intend to do. And I'd like to take this moment to kind of compare and contrast what I think is going to happen if Romney is elected. First, let me say that I really think we are headed for another huge financial downturn. And that really does not depend on who gets elected president, whether Obama is made president or Romney is made president. The fact is, we're involved in an international financial system now. How many jobs there are in the United States has more to do with the state of affairs in places like China, Greece, Italy, Spain, Saudi Arabia than it does. The fact is that since the near total collapse of the world economy in 2008, very little has actually been done to change the system so that to address the fundamental weaknesses of the system. All that's happened is the government has been printing money to kind of prop up the existing system with all its faults. There has been no regulation to reduce the size of banks so that it would be economically feasible for them to go bankrupt. There has been no retirement of bad debts. A lot of these banks, if accounting practices were not corrupt, would actually be bankrupt already. They're carrying a lot of bad loans as if they were good ones that are going to be repaid. Investment houses and banks are still allowed to trade against the interests of their customers, trade against their depositors. They actually make money when you fail, when you lose money. So, and I would say this, my own criticism of Obama is no matter how much the right wing says about him being a socialist, the truth of the matter is he is totally owned by Wall Street and the corporate power structure that runs this country. Bernanke, Geithner, Summers, all of them, they are Wall Street insiders. They're pulling the strings. They're trying to prop up the system and see if they can't get another 2 or 3 years out of this Ponzi scheme that we laughingly call an economy. Even if Romney is elected, the same pressures are going to come to bear on him, and no matter what he says to get elected, once he's in office, he's going to face the same hard, cruel facts. And I doubt very much if he's going to make very different decisions than Obama has already made. The real issues, the issues that we as voters actually have a say in, are basically social issues. And I'm pretty sure that under a Romney administration, the poor will be more miserable. The jails will become the principal treatment facility for the mentally ill. Old people are going to get shafted. Women are going to get pushed relentlessly back into domestic slavery. Under Romney, real freedom, the freedom to love who you want and have sex with who you choose, will be severely limited. Gays will have to get back into the closet. Abortions will have to be conducted in back alleys and basements, like the good old days. The number of unwanted, neglected, abused children will rise as people are forced to have babies they don't want to have. Ambitious, hardworking people will have their lives torn apart as they or their loved ones are rounded up and shipped back to Mexico. Under Romney, corporations will once again be free to pollute the air and foul the water and turn this planet into a giant seething pile of waste. And worst of all, under a Romney administration, the Supreme Court will get packed with even more caveman-like right-wing justices who will ensure that the movement of the United States into corporate slavery will continue for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however long it takes them to die off. Last but not least, I will bet you that shortly after Romney takes power, if he's elected, we will be involved in a war with Iran. This is why, despite the lack of any real military threat to the United States, Romney and the Republicans are planning on increasing the defense budget, buying more guns, more ammo, more carriers, because we're ready for a war with Iran. Sheldon Adelson is a big contributor to Romney. He is a right-wing supporter of the right-wing government in Israel. He dreams of an imperial Israel with borders going right up to the Jordan River. The Saudi Arabians would very much like to get rid of the Iranians as well as the Israelis. The Iranians are Shias, the Saudis are Sunni. The Iranians, probably one of the first people that would get a bomb dropped, I don't know if Iran got a bomb, would be the Saudis. So they're doing their best to pump up the price of gas so that it'll make Obama look bad. So once Romney's elected, he's going to have to repay all this help he's gotten by invading Iran. If I was a talented YouTuber at this point, I'd have some little animation of Puppet Romney dancing to klezmer music with Benjamin Netanyahu pulling the strings and the king of Saudi Arabia laughing merrily over in the corner, but I'm not that talented. So you're just going to have to imagine it. I'll be the first to tell you that there's nothing like a big war to save a floundering economy. It's widely held economic truth that the Depression only came to an end in the 1930s when we entered World War II. And all that government money was spent on building tanks and bombs, and all these guys that weren't working were sucked into the army, and suddenly there was no unemployment and everybody had a paycheck. Maybe that's what Romney means by maybe that's how he's going to create those 12 million jobs. Henry Ford, the great capitalist from the last century, was smart enough to realize that he had to pay his workers $5 an hour, which at that time was a princely sum, if they were going to have enough money to buy the cars that Ford was producing. Modern Republicans seem to have forgotten all that. They've forgotten that demand is what drives business, not supply. You can open all the businesses you want, but if you don't have any customers to come in the door and demand the product that you're making, you're going to go out of business in 6 months. No business can be successful without customers, and there are going to be no customers so long as people are concerned about their financial future. If they're wondering how they're going to pay their rent, how they're going to pay their mortgage, whether or not they're going to get laid off or not, there's going to be no customers. If you give people money, they're going to sock it away in the bank against the hard times they know are coming. If you give rich people money, hey, they're not stupid either. They're not going to open a business with no customers. They're just going to sock it away as well. So, print all the money you want. It's just going to end up in Swiss bank accounts, or in gold bullion buried in somebody's backyard. Basically, we have hard times coming no matter what we do. I think the choice that we have to make is how are we going to face those hard times? Is it going to be every man for himself and the devil take the hindmost? The powerful crushing the, standing on the heads of the poor as the ship goes down so they can get a few more minutes of air before they're pulled under too? Or are we going to face it as a country, as a society? Are we going to try to take care of each other? Are we going to try to make the misery a little less painful? Maybe spread it around a little bit. Maybe have the people that are the strongest do a little bit more of the work so that the people that are the weakest and the least capable can take a moment, get a breath, so they're not completely ground into dust. I used to be a hippie and I thought love could solve everything. Then I got cynical. Thought that love probably couldn't solve anything. I've made a living as a capitalist. I've had my own business. I've had to make payrolls. I do work for a living, even now. And I don't know, somewhere along the line, though, when I hear, it seems like we've just lost track of this whole thing. I remember back when I was interested in religion and somewhat of a Christian, I remember the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That seems to be been all thrown right out the window, despite all their breastbeating and their BS Christianity. The Republicans seem to have forgotten all that. Anyway, I haven't. I'm voting Democratic. I hope you do too. Thanks. Bye.